In this video, I'm going to take you through exactly what to do and how to get to 10% body fat, even if you're starting at around 20% or indeed at a higher body fat percentage, which I have now been. Now, there is a specific number of things in which I would do if I was to having to do this all over again in order to get, like I say, from this physique here, in order to get to this physique here, which is roughly 10% body fat, abs are showing, and enjoy all the downstream effects in which that's now going to bring you in terms of confidence, clothes size, health, fitness, longevity, all that good stuff, and just looking better. Let's be completely honest. Now, this video is not just about me. This is about the hundreds of clients in which I've now helped achieve 10% body fat. We've got Clive here, as you can see, an absolute machine. This is him at 60 years old, absolutely wild. We had Ben, who achieved six-pack abs for his summer holiday, and this was done in an 8-week period. Then we had Amrish, very busy dad, CEO, entrepreneur, doing a lot of flying. Again, we've gone from dad bod to in shape pretty damn quickly. My man John, who literally didn't recognize himself on the left-hand side there, where he let standards, habits, and routines just slip and basically just prioritize work. And now he's an absolute lean machine, as you can see there. We've got my man Enzo, who looked like the absolute man for his beach holiday that he just went on with his family. As you can see, a full six-pack of abs just there. Michael, who went from enjoying all the free apps and all the free stuff on YouTube and bits and pieces to never really being able to get it right. And then we got in 90 days time, pardon me, we literally changed things around for him. We got six-pack abs and he achieved 10% body fat. My man over here, Rob, again, he wasn't kind of afraid of the gym, of not knowing what to do, but it's now a case of just enabling him to do so with the right tweaks to nutrition, lifestyle training, which I'm going to give you right now. And we've gone from here to here, whereby he's got six-pack abs, is now loving life. And by the way, he's now eating more food here than he was here, which is pretty wild. That's my little wild face. And then we've got Ethan, my man here. We could be here all day, but essentially we went from looking pretty good and okay to cover model rig. And again, I'm now going to give you the tips and the tricks in order to do so. So without further ado, let's dive in and let me give you literally the roadmap to 10% body fat. So take some notes and let's go. So the first thing is that I would consider, and let me just kind of pull this up so you can see what's what. I'm just going to shoot this one raw. So let's get rid of this. Okay, so the first thing in which we now want to do is figure out your calories and figure out your protein. And it's very trendy, especially in 2025, to not have to worry about these two things, especially about calories. And you'll see people say that, oh, it's all about hormones and it's all about, you know, the right types of foods. And whilst hormonal function as well as the right types of foods play a massive part in it, if your calories are not correct for fat loss and your protein isn't where it needs to be, then essentially you're just going to be shooting in the dark, getting nowhere fast. And again, rather than just tell you that you're going to need to worry about calories and protein, I'm literally going to give you the formula in which you need to get this thing right for you. And you can go on different websites and search like BMR and activity multipliers and all that stuff. But the reality is, if you just take your body weight right now in pounds, it just makes your life so much easier. So in pounds, so let's say, for instance, you are 200 pounds. Okay. We're going to times that number, okay, by anywhere from 10 to 12. 10, if you are on the end of the spectrum whereby you don't really move and you want faster fat loss results, even though that's going to mean more caloric restriction. Or 12, if you want a slightly slower approach, but it's going to be more sustainable. You can fit in some nice weekend treats and what have you. So let's say, for instance, we use the more aggressive approach here. That's going to give you, so 200 times 10, 2,000 calories per day. Now, is that going to be 110% accurate for everyone? No, but I have to give you some broad recommendations, given the fact that I'm now doing this video for you. So again, body weight in pounds times 10 is a fantastic place to start with your fat loss for the majority of people. Now, when it comes to protein, again, if we now just make this super just dummy proof and simple, if you get somewhere close to 1 gram, okay, per pound of goal weight, you're going to be somewhere close. So here's what I mean by this. Let's say, for instance, we're 200 pounds, but our goal weight is 180 pounds. Okay. Well, guess what? I'm going to shoot for 180 grams of protein per day. Okay. Simple, 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 simple. Trust me, I got a C in GCSE maths, and if I can figure this out, you absolutely can as well. So without that, nothing else really matters. So we figure out calories and we figure out daily protein. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, again, different protein sources, you want to be typically picking animal sources because they contain the full amino acid spectrum. So things like tuna, beef, chicken, steak, ham, turkey, eggs, egg whites, Greek yogurt, protein powder, all that good stuff. That being said, a lot of my clients are vegan and vegetarian and they still get the job done. Again, if you know what you're doing, you can still manage to do that. Number two, in the roadmap to your success is set a timeline to get the job done. If you have an open-ended time in which you're just magically going to reach this 10% goal, trust me, you'll be one of these people that are always dieting. They never get anywhere fast. And it's just going to be an absolute shit show because you're just going to be dragging along and you're going to get all the downstream negative effects of dieting, the hunger, the food focus, the lethargy, but you're not actually going to get the results from it because there's no timeline. So that does mean if you do screw up, well, you're just going to say to yourself, well, that's fine. I've got next week and then I've got the week after and then I've got the week after. And then you look back in 12 months time and you've actually gotten absolutely nowhere. So I typically like roughly 0.5 to 1% of total body weight loss per week. 1% on the more aggressive end, 0.5 again on the more kind of conservative end. All right. For most people in practical terms, that literally looks like 1 to 2 pounds per week, or, you know, anywhere from kind of 0.5 to a kilo per week, there or thereabouts. Okay. So what you want to do is figure out how much weight you've got to lose, reverse engineer a timeline to get there, shoot for somewhere in between this and hit that target. If you don't hit the target, I would suggest actually reversing calories back up, having a diet break and then going again versus just doing again what most people do and they can't remember the last time in which they weren't actually trying to diet or lose body fat. You'll get nowhere. So set a deadline. Deadlines drive decisions at the end of the day. From there, we're going to go with training, okay? We absolutely need to be training progressively and we need to be training hard. Now, we're not going to be training to burn calories. We're not going to be training to jump around like Joe Wicks and get all hot and sweaty randomly, okay? The whole purpose of training when you're shooting for 10% body fat or trying to go from 20 to 10 or what have you is because we're not just trying to lose weight for the sake of weight. We're actually trying to lose body fat and maintain all our lean tissue. And in order to maintain your lean tissue, you basically got 3 things in which you can do in order to do so. Number 1 is you have to have a high protein diet, which we talked about, roughly a gram per pound or a gram per pound of weight in which you're trying to achieve, of goal weight, right? Number 2 is the rate of loss. If we hemorrhage the approach, if we lose like 2 kilos every week or like 5 pounds, unless you're massively overweight, you will start to lose muscle tissue, which is not what you want. Then we end up with that skinny fat look and it's just not a good vibe. The third thing we can do is actually give our body and our brain signals that, hey, this nice lean tissue on our body is metabolically active. This is now tissue in which I need to keep, okay? So if the body senses a deficit, it's going to pick body fat rather than lean tissue in order to burn fat for energy, right? And so if we are now training progressively hard and effectively, then that is going to send those signals that we need. And therefore the energy gap is going to come from fat mass and not lean mass. You know, what does training look like? I would say anywhere, honestly, from 3 to 4 times a week, full body workouts, train close to failure, and train multiple muscle groups multiple times per week. And you should be absolutely fine and good to go from there. Next is sleep and stress management. Okay, pardon me, sleep and step management. We can talk about stress management later. So when it now comes to sleep and steps, right, I'm not going to bore you with why sleep is so important to your goals. But what I will say, it is literally almost certainly the one factor in which you are ignoring, which is going to allow you to burn body fat and keep muscle tissue at a far greater rate than what you're doing right now. If I can now demonstrate this with literally one study, they had 2 groups of people, same calorie deficit, same training, same everything. They literally standardized everything across the board. The only difference is that group 1 got 5 to 6 hours sleep per night, and group 2 got 7 to 9 hours per night. Okay. At the end of the trial, because they were both in the same calorie deficit, both groups lost the exact same amount of weight as you would expect. However, on closer inspection, the group that only slept 5 to 6 hours per night lost about 50% more lean mass compared to fat mass. And this group literally kept the vast majority of their lean tissue. So again, we don't just want to lose weight for the sake of weight. We actually want to be losing body fat. And this is so key, so key. Now, when it comes to steps, again, if we think about cardio, yes, cardio is great and cardio can burn calories, but it's also going to have an effect on recovery. It's also going to have probably a negative effect on hunger. However, steps is something in which you can just do every single day with no recovery cost. It doesn't impact your weight training, which again, I explained is really important. And also it allows you to just burn a few extra 100 calories, like I say, with no negative impact whatsoever, to make sure you're nailing those 2 things. Cool. Next on the agenda is high satiety food. So if we are just looking at stuff like calories and protein, but actually the foods in which we're now using are super processed, there's not enough fiber. It's a case of no micronutrition, so no fruits, no vegetables, etc. You're going to have a really, really, really hard time with it. Trust me, I've done it before. When IFYM, if it fits your macros, was very popular back in the day, and I filled my diet full of junk food, muffins, cookies, cakes, and ice creams just to hit my macros. And let me tell you, it was one of the hardest preps I'd ever done because I was so damn hungry. So when it comes to high satiety foods, we want to be thinking things like berries. We want to be thinking things like potatoes, low-fat dairy, if tolerated well, lean cuts of meat, vegetables, soups, that sort of stuff. So basically, a low caloric load for a high amount of food volume. Here's what I mean. If I was to give you a plate full of berries, like you can see in the picture right here, versus a plate full of Haribo, for example, you can eat a shit ton more calories, okay, from the Haribo in like a portion like this, compared to a massive bowl of berries, and it wouldn't even come close to the same amount of calories in Haribo. So you want to be eating foods in which you can eat more of, but they actually yield less calories, but keep you fuller for longer. If you win hunger, you win the game when it comes to getting you to 10% body fat. Simple as that. Why do you think all these drugs such as Wegovy, Mounjaro, Ozempic are so popular? It's because they blunt hunger. That is the mechanism behind in which it works. They literally make you so sick that the last thing in which you're now thinking about is food. So if we win hunger, we win the game. And if you don't want to take a jab, then you better be using high satiety foods. All right? Cool, team. Hope you're still with me. Okay. Next is socials. Okay. Listen, I'm all for balance. I'm all for fun. I'm all for going out, having a few drinks and pizzas with your mates and what have you. At the same time, if 10% body fat is the goal, just realize that the most people walking around the street look anything like these people right here. That the majority of people, would you say? No, of course not. Do most people look like this? Would you say? No, absolutely not. And so in order to get a result which is not normal from the day-to-day norm, we're going to have to do things which are slightly different. And therefore, the more that you can control these socials, you can control booze, you can control what you're actually eating, the more that you are going to affect your body composition goals positively. That being said, the more that you can basically pick your own food, cook your own food, have your own food versus essentially go out to eat a bunch. Because end of the day, the chef does not care about you or your fitness goals. It cares about repeat business. And how do we get repeat business? If we're a restaurant owner, I'm going to make the food taste damn good. How am I going to make the food taste damn good? I'm going to use extra oils, salts, spreads, butters, calories essentially that you typically wouldn't use in your cooking. So we need to manage these very, very well. And if we have no plan to, then essentially it can be the very thing which just trips you up again and again and again. That's not what you want. Cool. So again, even for a short period of time, just to get yourself to that body fat percentage, you might have to bin certain people, places, and things off, even though you might not want to hear that until you get to your goal. And then we can start to incorporate those things. But now guess what? You're leaner, you've got a new body fat set point, and you're able to do so without basically just rebounding back up if you do things properly. Okay. Next, for you to think that you're going to magically just get the body in which you want. You're going to follow all these tips and you're going to reach 10% body fat with no hiccups, no wobbles, no kind of mess ups. You're absolutely delusional. And it's got nothing to do with discipline or willpower. And it's got everything to do with you being a human and realizing that you've probably got, a wife and kids, or maybe you've got a family, or maybe you've got a job, or maybe you've got parents who need looking after, or maybe you've got 101 different things which are going to pull you from pillar to post when it comes to being at loggerheads with this exact process. And what I mean by that, you're going to miss training sessions. You're going to miss a day of steps. You're going to get some shit sleep one night. You're going to probably binge one day. All these things are going to happen. Okay. It's normal. Your ability to get back on track fast, and we have this phrase inside 23 Lean called bounce back ability, is going to be key. These clients here that you can see, they were not the most perfect, quote unquote, but they were the ones who were able to bounce back from a setback fast. Because ultimately it takes 3,500 calories above your maintenance to add 1 pound of body fat. So realistically, even if you go off track, for one meal out, what have you, like it's gonna do nothing in the grand scheme of things as long as you get back on track fast. The way that people mess things up is that they will screw things up on a Thursday night, and then they'll screw things up on a Friday, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I've really messed things up now. So ultimately, I may as well do what I want over the weekend and I'll get back on track Monday. Okay, cool. So now we've just literally hit 40% of your goals and you're expecting A-star results. But what if after that Thursday night, we got back on track on Friday? Saturday wasn't a write-off. We were on target on Sunday. Oh shit, all of a sudden, you're now at 90%. And who do you think is going to reach the goals faster? The guy who's operating at 90% or 40%? As simple as that. So don't beat yourself up after the setback. Just literally get back on track faster. Simple as that. Very cool. Okay, team, last couple. So with this one, okay, the tortoise and the hare method. I'm really giving you an insight into how we do things inside 23 Lean. So if we look at traditional dieting methods, right? We've got here and we've got here, for example. Okay, so with this, typically what will happen is someone will start here, they will end here, okay? And they will just, even if the diet looks a little bit like this, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, they'll get to there, okay? Now, with that, two things have happened. Number one, we don't know how to maintain. All we know is a situation in which we used to, need a diet in the first place or lose some body fat. And then we know how to actually lose it here, but we don't know how to maintain. Most people do not have a weight loss problem. Most people do not have a weight gain problem. Obviously, it's very easy to do so. Most people have no idea how to maintain their new weight. So actually, what we tend to see with this model is that either very quickly, because they've gone about this incorrectly, or over the course of time, we get this rebound and we get the person literally get right back up to where they were. Like I say, sometimes it happens rapidly or sometimes it happens over time. Now, this phenomenon, which I'm describing here, is literally called body fat overshooting. And over time, and with every failed attempt, and with every kind of incidence of like your body fat getting higher and higher and higher over time, like I say, your body is used to now a higher body fat than it was originally. And that's not a situation in which you want to have. However, if you use the tortoise and the hare method, which you do inside 23 Lean, what we do is we start off with our subject here and we will diet down for, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks. But then we'll take a purposeful maintenance break. Then not dieting. Calories come back up. We dissipate diet fatigue. Motivation comes back. Food flexibility is back and they're feeling great. Okay, cool. Then we go again. Then we hold it. Then we go again. We hold it. We go again. We hold it. We go again. Bosh, we reach our goal. Okay. These little phases here are so integral and key for, number one, stopping the rebound effect. We typically do not see that in the program. And also number two, to make sure that you actually understand how to maintain your weight once you're there. Because think about it, at some point, you're going to have the body composition in which you want. But if you don't know how to maintain that, what are you going to do? We only know here and we know there. But actually now we've practiced here, we practice here, we practice here, we practice here. And we give our brain and our body a little minute to basically accept the new body fat percentage as the new norm and not something which is just basically temporary or transient. Okay. For me, like, we're on a one-way trip to getting you in the shape of your life, but we have to do things properly. And the tortoise and the hare method is so key. It's literally one of the tricks in which we use inside 23 Lean to get our clients lean for life. Yeah. Simple as that. So I highly recommend that. And then lastly, probably the most crucial one, I would say, accountability and support. And hear me out here, right? Like, if you tell your friends, your partner, your loved one, what have you, about your goals, why it's important to you and all the rest of it, they oftentimes won't have your best interest at heart. And what I mean by that is they always say things like, you don't need to go to the gym today. You've been working really hard and it's raining. You don't need to get the steps in, or you deserve that bottle of wine and pizza. All that stuff is enabling you to basically fall back into the habits in which probably got you to the position whereby you wanted to lose weight in the first place. The reality is, when it comes to accountability, having someone impartial to hold you to a higher standard than you're currently holding yourself is absolutely integral and key. And having the support to know exactly what your next steps should be, when and why, again, absolutely crucial. There's a big part, in fact, it's one of our foundational 4 in which we talk about inside 23 Lean when it comes to our support system. We've got accountability, support, customization, and education. Those 4 things put together make sure that the pillars of success are absolutely locked in and we get some world-class results. Now, what I would say is that if you are not having accountability, if you're not having support, just think about it. Let's say you mess up, right? And let's say no one knows about it. It's like that whole tree in the woods thing. Like, if no one was there, did it make a sound? Does it matter? You know what I mean? Probably it doesn't, because no one else knows about it other than you. However, if you've got someone to hold your feet to the fire, to ask you and to kind of hold you to a higher standard, long after the feelings of wanting to do so have now left you, I guarantee you're going to be more successful. And that's exactly where the coaching program comes in. So if you want a hand in implementing all of this so that you can get some killer results, just like the guys inside 23 Lean, literally on a week-to-week basis, go ahead and jump over to my Instagram, my new profile, which is at Shreve Lawton Life. DM me the number or the word 3, and I'll talk to you about how the new intake of 23 Lean is going to be slightly different, what you've got to look forward to in version 2, and also how you can potentially get enrolled once I know that I can help you. I find out a bit more about you and your situation, and we can have a small back and forth. But hopefully for now, this was useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.